There's been something stirring inside, something hard to name. A quiet discomfort, a knot that sits in the chest, a deep tiredness that doesn't come from the body. It's not stress. It's not anxiety. It's something else. It's what happens when too much has been allowed for too long. When the head has been bowed so often, it's hard to remember what it feels like to hold it high. And somehow, that has started to feel normal. Conditioning taught silence, endurance, to avoid making noise. The story was that if patience and understanding were enough, everything would eventually be okay. But that was never true. What really happened was a slow transformation into an emotional sponge, absorbing the weight others couldn't carry. Toxic behaviors found easy passage, and little by little self-worth became a question mark. Now, when discomfort arises, the first instinct is to doubt it. Is this a real reaction or just too much sensitivity? But that isn't sensitivity. That's intuition. That's the mind raising an alarm. Carl Jung saw it long before most. He explored the depths of the human psyche and discovered something terrifying. Most suffering doesn't come from major traumas. It comes from the small, constant betrayals. The poisons tolerated daily, the gestures ignored, the attitudes normalized, the boundaries not defended. What isn't confronted stays, and what stays rots. This isn't meant to feel good. This is meant to wake something up, to expose, with brutal clarity, 7 behaviors Jung identified, not because they're immoral, but because they quietly dismantle identity, integrity, and mental well-being. Like termites, they hollow the inside until the reflection in the mirror becomes unrecognizable. These behaviors don't arrive labeled. They come dressed as love, concern, humor. When accepted once, they return. Every time, another piece goes missing. That's why this matters. Not from curiosity, not from entertainment, but because something inside already knows. It's enough. The time has come to name what's been carried. The time has come to stop allowing. But this isn't only about others. These behaviors have also been mirrored, unknowingly practiced. That's why they hurt, because they've been both inflicted and repeated. Not from malice, but from lack of awareness. No one explained this was violence. No one taught how it distances a person from their own self. But now, it can be seen. Each behavior will be uncovered, one by one, through the lens of Jung. After this, certain people, even personal choices, won't look the same again. And yes, that will hurt, but it will also bring freedom. It often starts small. A look, a phrase, a joke, something offhand. But when repeated, ignored, accepted, it becomes the standard. Suddenly, identity is shaped not by inner truth, but by the silent shaping hands of others. This is where covert emotional manipulation begins. It doesn't scream, it whispers. This is for your own good. If you love me, you do this. Why does that upset you so much? These phrases don't shout, they distort. First, doubt forms around the moment, then the perception. Eventually, the self. Control hides behind affection. And when it comes from someone loved, the poison seeps deeper. Loyalty becomes resignation. Jung warned, people will go at any length to avoid facing their own soul. And one way to do that is by distorting someone else's. Manipulation thrives in silence, in fear, in unhealed wounds. Once trust is tamed, once resistance weakens, a new tactic emerges. Mockery disguised as humor. It's not direct, just a passing comment, a laugh with a blade beneath it, a joke that cuts. Everyone laughs, except the target. But laughter is forced, because not laughing invites ridicule. And so, the trap is laid. Object, and become the problem. Stay silent, and allow the rot. Mockery seems harmless, but the unconscious mind doesn't distinguish joke from truth. Repeated enough, it becomes identity. Those who mock the most often carry the deepest insecurity. They fear their own void, so they project it outward. But their fear isn't an excuse to be anyone's target. And once they feel free to laugh without consequence, another line is crossed. Here begins gaslighting, the denial of reality that never happened. You're overreacting. You're imagining things. The damage isn't in the words. It's in the internal shift. Doubt grows roots. The mind reshapes itself around someone else's version of events. Memory, intuition, perception, all questioned. Jung called it internal betrayal. When the mind surrenders to someone else's version of truth, autonomy disappears. Gaslighting is war in silence. no blows. No screams, just fog. And once confusion settles, the next cruelty begins. Systematic emotional invalidation. Speak a truth, and it's dismissed. Share a wound, and it's mocked. Not that serious. You're making things up. Eventually, the lesson becomes clear. Silence is safer. Emotion is punished. And so, expression stops. Invisibility becomes survival. Jung taught that repressed emotions don't vanish. They mutate into rage, into despair, into illness. The self crumbles quietly. Then comes the coldest tactic, contempt through absence. The silence that punishes. The absence that stings more than words. No explanations, just withdrawal. The body is there, but the connection is severed, and each unanswered message, each ignored plea, deepens the wound. It doesn't shout, it erases. And when erasure continues, the soul fractures. Trust withers. Words stop forming. Feeling becomes foreign. Jung warned, what isn't accepted subjugates. Everything tolerated becomes a silent captor. Still, two more poisons remain, the most dangerous, the most deceptive, because they don't only injure, they infect, and if not caught, they shake future choices. The first, normalizing self-sacrifice as virtue. From childhood, the lesson was, to give is to love. To yield is noble. So self was pushed to the back of the line. Needs disappeared. Desires faded. But not everything done for love is love. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's habit. Often it's erasure. The self, Jung said, is the psyche's core. Anything pulling away from that center distorts, divides. And the world cheers on this disappearance. You're called strong for enduring, kind for giving. But no one asks, when is it your turn? Perpetual sacrifice isn't strength. It's abandonment. And when there's nothing left, when the voice is gone, when identity is fragmented, the final poison sets in, accepting contempt as the price of belonging. This is the final collapse, the surrender, the belief that being mistreated is better than being alone. Crumbs become meals. Rejection becomes normal. The psyche dies slowly. Emotions freeze. Questions stop. Only survival remains. And all of it is built on the lie that no better life exists. But it does, because nothing, not one thing, is worth betraying yourself every day. Loneliness may be painful, but living among shadows that consume you, that's agony. This is the moment to choose. Awareness has arrived. These 7 poisons are no longer hidden. They've been seen, felt, named. Jung didn't offer comfort. He offered warning. He rang the alarm. So now, what will be done with this truth? Most will turn away. They'll return to old patterns, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. But if a flame has been lit inside, if something burns with a quiet, no more, then there's a path forward. The change begins here, not in judgment of others, but in reflection. Where has the intolerable been tolerated? What part of the self was traded for approval? This isn't about becoming a victim. It's about reclaiming what was stolen. Change comes with loss, but every loss clears space, and what remains is real, solid, yours. Jung didn't write to soothe. He wrote to awaken. And now, awakening has begun. The eyes are open. Don't close them. The true power isn't in demanding respect from the world. It's in no longer needing it. If this resonates, hold on to this phrase. What you tolerate buries you. Write it, say it, live by it. Tolerate less, live more. Because once the soul wakes up, it refuses to sleep again. Not until the next shadow is faced. And even then, it keeps rising.